Hello and welcome back to the Engerati studio here at European Utility Week. I have the pleasure now of being joined by Francisco Romero from Telvent Energy, part of Schneider Electric. Francisco is the Business Development Director there. Francisco, firstly, welcome and thank you for making the time to be here. We were talking a little bit off air about some of the energy savings as well that can be realized, and there was a particular point you were making that some of those figures seem to be quite theoretical, whereas you've actually got a case study in the US where those have been realized. It'd be quite nice to hear a little bit more about a real implementation like that.
Okay, I can tell you that, as you know, it's impossible to store the energy in a massive way. We can do, but not in a massive way. Then, based on that, it's important to have the generation, the demand, and to cover at the same time. This is the difficulty to manage the utilities. What we have within Telvent, part of Schneider, is software that belongs to us, that we can help the utilities in order to optimize the management of the network and to postpone the investment in order to do something with the software to identify in advance the problems and to reduce the peak. This is what we call peak savings, and there are certain algorithms software that we have to optimize the active power, the reactive power, the load shedding, to reduce the voltage as a minimum as possible. At the end, with the combination of solutions that we have, we can achieve maybe no more than 10%, but in the range of 3 or 4% minimum and maybe 7–8% maximum. This is the reality, and we have a clear example in the States. It's Progress Energy, where we are doing a very, very nice project, and the customer is more than happy with our solution.
I mean, but in the utility world, a saving of up to 8% is significant, because we're talking fairly big numbers here. What's one of the challenges about putting a sort of software-based solution like that into play? Because I would imagine that a part of your software is only as good as the data inputs and the management it needs. It must be hugely complex to get it plugged into the existing infrastructure in such a way that your software can do its job properly. Just talk a little bit around those challenges. I would imagine they're not insignificant.
No, in reality, you are right. In this kind of projects, the more important problem that need to be solved, but this is in all the projects, is the quality of the data. Then we can say that in English, if garbage in, garbage out. Then for this kind of software, this sophisticated software to optimize the network management, it's very important to have the topology of the network, all the data, technical data, to understand what you have really at the field. In this way, you can have that with our software. You can say that in that particular section of the network you have X voltage or intensity or whatever. Then I would say that data quality is absolutely key. It's a must, and all the projects we used to take care about that, because if not, the project can be failed and can be a problem not us, not the software. It's the quality is the problem with the data. The data is key, and also it's also very important the integration that with the legacy system that the utility used to have, and of course to have a very good software to have this kind of function. That's the software that we have.
And how is this data coming to you? Is this all machine-to-machine data that's being fed down the pipe? Because I would then imagine that there is a big there must be an issue around the reliability of transmission, because you can't suddenly have if you have a data flow failure, it could affect everything else.
No, in most of the cases that when you're talking about the network management, it's absolutely key to manage the network within the SCADA system. All the utility has a SCADA. It can be good or bad or medium, but this is absolutely must. Then for this part of the network that can be managed by this SCADA, we can have signals on a practically real time that came from the RTUs, and we are using this data. But with our software, we can have the ability to compare with an analysis in real time what would be the results if we don't have SCADA data, or just in case to have different results than the SCADA, we can have the ability to know what is the problem. Then SCADA plus GIS plus the auto management system used to be the kind of system that the utility need to have to fit our software to run and to calculate properly.
And where are you seeing the opportunities then in terms of, because the other thing we were talking about is surely some of this sort of software solutions would benefit being pushed into the home and at the consumer end as well. Is that an area you guys are playing in?
Yes, as you know, as far as you know, maybe you know that there is a new figure that comes from the coming days, that is prosumer. It's an acronym that means producer and consumer at the same time. And I would say it's a reality nowadays. It means that there are some customers that can produce energy. There is a problem for the utilities for distribution, but it is impossible to stop that because it's the worldwide trend. It means that at a minor scale or at a bigger scale, there will be some customer that they're going to inject energy into the network. Then it creates instability. But the utilities, the distribution companies, a part of the transmission companies, used to manage properly these kind of things. Then distribution and generation is a problem, an reality that we have. Is good for the technical losses, because if the generation is close to the consumer, the technical losses are less. But also, in this way, we can have the ability to optimize the demand response, sending signals to the customer. It doesn't matter if we talk about industrial customers, commercial or residential ones. With our software, the typical signal could be the price. We are expecting a world where probably the tariff and the rate can be changed even a single hour, depending by country. Then, if there is a problem with the energy at that time, because there are no renewables or whatever, someone, can be the utility, having a new player, decided or thinks the forecast that could be a problem, someone needs to do something. What? Try to reduce the demand at the time, but now, real time, or quasi real time. In this way, if we can manage the signals sent to different customers, we can have the ability to manage a little bit these kind of things. And what we have within the Schneider and Telvent is exactly that, and this is our focus to optimize this.
Absolutely, because I can imagine if suddenly an entire street decides to put PV cells all over their roof, and I mean, what's the most this is slightly tangential question, but I find it interesting. What's the most extreme example that you're aware of where a community is actually producing its own energy, and where do you think the percentage can go in terms of the amount of energy percentage-wise actually generated by the community or the consumer or the prosumer versus the utility? What's the most extreme that you've seen?
The most extreme can be the data, I remember from Spain, because I worked there, where I remember a date last year, where a certain date, the generation came from the renewables more than 60%, 64%. One single day, maybe one single minute. Okay. But apart of that, we are doing real projects and also R&D projects, where we are thinking that the way to optimize and to have a smarter grid and a smarter city, smarter village, will be to introduce more renewables. It's absolutely key. Where can be at the roof of the ceilings, can be mini turbines, can be photovoltaic plants, biomass, use the energy of the earth, using that the geothermic. But the thing is that there is a need to integrate these renewables into the network. Then, based on that, we have figures that we know that it's quite difficult in a city to have more than, let's say, 30–40%. But there is a worldwide trend to go in this direction. Then, the more renewables that will be in a city or wherever, the more CO2 leaf emission that the customer and the city can have, and we are helping them. Them means the city, the town hall, the distribution companies, water, gas, electric, even telco, to reduce the CO2 emission in general, to have a greener city, Our software and our knowledge is where we try to help them to achieve this reality.
Because that can be quite significant, because if there's one instance where the ratio was 60% of almost user-generated electricity,
right.
You know, even if you on an average were to have maybe 30% across the board, that's pretty extreme in terms of the thing, and the key thing will be, I suppose the holy grail is storing this stuff, isn't it? Because you know, I think you were saying earlier, it kind of comes on of its own volition. You know, when there's a gale in Scotland, for example, or something like that. How far away do you think storage solutions are to be able to really efficiently manage and store electricity on scale rather than small things?
I don't know. The only thing I can tell you is that we are aware that what are doing different countries for the R&D projects, because you can see that if there would be in the future, it doesn't matter coming future or medium future, the ability to store the electric energy in a way that today is impossible to that. The world to manage the electricity could be totally different.
Yes. Yeah.
Today you can generate what you need now. Yeah. If not, go generate to the garbage. Yeah. Then I can imagine at a certain percentage that could be a reality in the coming years. Yes. We need to use certain distribution generations, certain batteries that they can store certain energy. Can be certain more energy during less time, or maybe less energy, more time, but not to store the energy as the way that we can store the gas.
Not 100%, yeah, exactly.
Then distribution generation, renewables, and other things is something that we need to manage in a better way than we are doing today. Yes. Because I guess that it would be impossible to change the business model in the next, I would say, 10 years as minimum.
Just to maximize the efficiency of what we've already got. There's already enough gain in there. We're getting to the end of our allotted time here today, and I'm asking this question of everybody, and this is a personal question to you as an individual, as someone who's in this industry. Is there any one thing that you've seen and heard at this 3-day event where you've gone, oh, well, that's interesting, or that's new, or actually I can see potential here, if there is such a thing? I mean, you're within your rights to say no, I haven't seen anything yet, but
no, I think I take a look to different stands and take around not the whole event, but part of them. We have, I see, as always, have partners and competitors, industrial companies, meter vendors, different kind of companies as usual. It used to happen all the events the same, but I would say that nowadays renewables is one key that I need to highlight. Smart metering is a worldwide trend, not in Europe, worldwide. And these two things, distribution generation, renewables, and smart metering, I would say there's something that is changing the world. It's a worldwide trend. In the different extent that is so, there are parts software or some legend or something that highlight that point. I think that most of us, as we are here competing or showing our capabilities, we know that we need to do something in this area. This is absolutely, I would say, a must to go in the direction to have a better world, to reduce the CO2, and to have a greener village.
And a better management of all these renewables.
Exactly.
Francisco, thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for taking the time to be here today. That's all from this Engerati interview. As you know, there's more interviews on our website, so please do feel free to browse around and look at the great content. Thank you.